Welcome to Agon News Network, where today we love Big Brother. Hello, comrades and comradesses of Democratic People Republic of Argonia. All praise be to Kim Agun, our great leader. May his artificial intelligence rain down on us for a million years. I want to share some breaking news. After amazingly rapid journalism and censorship, we bring you breaking news from about 3 weeks ago. You may have been aware that there has been issue 3 of Agon Light Programming Challenge. It is my distinct pleasure and delight, as you can see from my ecstatic face, to announce that Democratic People's Republic of Argonia has completely crushed opposition and won this particular high praise, high stakes international coding event. We will now go over to the live demonstration of this amazing achievement. So requirement was to program snake game. Our scientists stopped making missiles and bombs and rockets and made snake game. Behold, if you are of nervous disposition or are prone to epilepsy, you might want to step away from government mandated television set, which has only one channel, no off button, and the volume is locked. And that's actually true in North Korea, at least it used to be. So here is great snake game. Oh goodness, goodness, behold how fantastic our superior power of Agonness are able to deliver a wonderful gaming experience. It is animated, it is smooth single pixel scrolling, it has many colors. The background is procedurally generated, so it is arguably a roguelike. As you can see, it is open sandbox, open world sandbox, just like a Red Dead Redemption. We like Red, we like Dead, we don't like Redemption so much. And if you look at color palette, is brown and beige, just like the most modern top tier first person shooters. This game ticks all the boxes and demonstrates superiority of our great nation. And if you lose, is even throws in little Star Wars jokes. That is how advanced we are. And all of this, ladies and gentlemen, all of this, dear comrade, is achieved in 48 lines of basic. Our scientists have to be very, very economic with basic code because entire country storage is one 2 GB USB stick, which was found by dear leader in parking lot of United Nations in New York and was definitely not planted there by Central Intelligence Agency. But wait, there is more. Our dear leader, in his endless generosity, has decided that now is the moment to switch on color for this very specific game, so you can experience it in full glory. And when we say color, we don't mean just color on your television, we mean color for entire country. So get ready to enter 20th century. 3, 2, 1, color. Oh my goodness, is amazing. How good is that? Look, and color, and it is blinkety blink, and it is oh my god. And in the same vein, we can now go and witness our glorious leader in his full color gloriousness. This is the first time you will be able to see glorious leader in full chromatic color. Oh, behold, is he not beautiful? Wait a minute, he is green. I always thought the leader was red. Is very suspicious, but never mind, we don't go there. Anyway, we have totally crushed opposition, and if you hear something else in imperialist bourgeois capitalist media, it is because of conspiracy against Agon Nation with outdated notions that Friday comes after Thursday, which is why we were disqualified. But we are the real winners. All right, everybody, that accent and that joke were wearing very, very thin. Apologies if I offended anyone. So, yep, there was a programming challenge. It was a week long, and I completely missed the deadline. I submitted my entry like a day or two late. I haven't even gotten acknowledgement back. My email might have even wound up in the spam folder, which doesn't matter because there were 8. Count them. 8 entries. Remember last time I won because I was the only entry. This time there's 8 entries, so even if I had entered, I wouldn't have won anyway. So it was fun partaking. And happy to see so many people joining. I suspect is because this time it was a week long rather than a weekend. And also maybe, hey, my videos raise a bit of profile and awareness for this exciting event. And what's kind of cool is that there are two winners, right? They looked at the 8 winners and decided that they were going to award the prize of 50 euros to 2 people, which I thought was very generous of them. Them being Cvetan and Bernardo, who are the judges. So I'm not going to look at every single one of these. We'll take a quick look at the winners. So first, Greg Dyke, the snake. This is written in C. This is actually in the CDS thing. Let me pop over there for a moment. And so we escape. It's a binary game, meaning it runs from the shell. Load snake dot bin and run. And here it is. You can also already see, yeah, my upscaler is struggling with this because it's in that rather weird mode 2 320 by 200, but it's a snake game. Relatively smooth. Well, no, it jumps quite a bit with the animation. Oh, that sound is harsh, but yeah, it's there. It's trying to do a beep. And you eat apples, you get longer. I think it gets faster. You have your points on the bottom left, and that's about it. What I do like is the font as well. Implementation is fine. So well done, Greg. But however, the real reason, and it's better if I reset the Agon for Nessa, the real reason, which I found super exciting, is the next one, which I will show you now. So again, I leave into the MOS, and so first I have to load fourth.bin, and then with fourth I run Serpent. That's what the author. The author is Leonard Benshkop. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, roughly correctly. And he called it Serpent rather than Snake. And here it is, running. Give that a second to load. Yep, here's some instructions. Any key. And here it is, right? It's a snake game, right? You can go. And I want to say one thing. Super zippy, super reactive, this thing. Very fast. It's actually quite challenging. There we go. To even make the turns to get the goal. So it's a snake game. It scores. It gets longer. Fantastic implementation. Well done, Leonard. But that's not why I'm showing this to you. The reason I'm showing this to you today is because this game is written in fourth. Right? So going back many years, when I was tiny little YouTuber 40 years ago, every standard home computer came preloaded with BASIC, Apple II, C64, ZX81, they're all there. I actually had one of these, the Sharp MZ80K, which was unusual for the time because you had to load the programming language. And in the tapes which I got, there was BASIC, there was Pascal, that was another game which you saw 40 years ago, which was more of a teaching tool, but people have written production code in Pascal, including myself, and the nightmares have almost stopped. Obviously, back then you had Fortran and COBOL. That was the heavy enterprise stuff which was flying around. And then you would hear about 2 mysterious ones. One was Lisp, which is still around today. We're not going to get into Lisp right now, except that it's got many, many brackets. And the other one which you heard about was Forth. And as opposed to all of the other ones which I've listed, and I've done some other languages since, Forth, I knew of that it existed, but I never knew what it looked like. So what better opportunity to have a quick language that look at this language than this game by Leonard. And I do want to recognize that Leonard Benshkop, he's like pretty much the second name I witnessed contributing code to the Agon community very, very early, back in December, January. And indeed, the first thing he published was a fourth interpreter, which he ported over. And if we look at the language just on the old Wikipedia there, procedural stack-oriented programming language, it also says basically that it uses reverse Polish notation. And I actually have one here. So old HP scientific calculators, there is a generation, and I was really frustrated. I was like 6 years old, and my dad got one of them. It didn't have an LCD, it had LED, and I wanted to play with, and I type 1 + 1 =, and nothing happens, because reverse Polish notation is, first you put, let's say I want to do 10 by 25, you say on the calculator 10, enter, so you're pushing it on the stack, or in this case 25, enter, push it on the stack, then 10, enter, push it on the stack, and then you give it the operation, which is a plus, and then an enter. So here's your operand, here's another operand, here is your function to execute, and that's how the code looks, right? It's kind of hard to see in the gaming code, but you can recognize it somewhere, right? See these numbers at the beginning of line? They're not line numbers, they're an actual variable. So 45 is a constant, and put it in variable pip height. So it's basic pip height. So it's basically reversed, right? All of the things are reversed. And if you look at the stack based, right, this is how under the hood all computers worked. Forget your Scratch and your Javas and whatever. When you get down, right down to what the processor's actually doing, he's pushing stuff on the stack and popping stuff from the stack. And because here the entire language is doing that, it becomes very easy. And if we look in the old uses of Forth, niche and astronomic and space application, we'll get into that in a second, and Forth has often been used to bring up new hardware. First resonance software on 8086, which started the PC revolution. First resonance system on the Macintosh 1E28K for 39 years ago. And that kind of makes sense, because there ain't that much you have to do for your interpreter and compiler between what the syntax is and what the computer is doing under the hood. So very grateful to Leonard to bringing this to my attention and allowing me to learn something, and also for the Olimex guys because they did the event, which led to Leonard writing this code, which led me to them. And then if you look at this, astronomic and space applications, well, if you program like this, where you put the onus of the thinking on the programmer, right? You have to think about your stack and exactly the implications of every single function properly. Well, if you're going into space and you can't hit the reset button, and especially you can't put in a new floppy from 3 parsecs away, I can understand that this will write very tight and very robust code. And if you look at this, it's about 300 lines with not comments, but a lot of spaces and whatever. And all it ultimately does is, like, it runs Serpent, and Serpent just calls another function, which is fill initial, and then fill initial goes and calls other. So turtles all the way down. What I found cool about drilling into this Forth language and the paradigm behind it is nothing new under the sun. Two things which come to mind, which have been hyped in the last 5 years in the professional IT world. One is the famous serverless, the whole Lambda on AWS, which is a function which just takes input, does what it does in a completely stateless way, so it doesn't know of any other state. There are no side effects and just returns a result. Well, that's exactly what happens here. I get my 2 variables, I do my thing, and I push the result on the stack. What happens outside of my little function, outside of my little Lambda, my little container, is none of my business. So it's a certain way of thinking about programming. The other one is functional programming. Same thing. It's based on functions. You think in these kind of stackish terms, right? So it's the what you have Scala, you have Erlang, you have the weird hairy guys with Haskell. Yeah, bullshit. It's all just 3/4 in a trench coat, right? So nothing new under the sun, and yeah, would not have seen this language otherwise. Well, thanks very much to all that participated. Always fun doing this kind of thumbs. Do subscribe, do like, do share if you enjoy this sort of content. Consider following me on the old Mastodon. Link is on loserbum.com. I switched off my Twitter recently. And yeah, do join the Discord. That's where it's all happening. I do want to say also, Leonard is also very active in the Agon emulator Discord and contributing code there. So yeah, great member of the community. With all of that, you are the Agon community. I'm Loserbum. You are all a bunch of bloody legends who are heading into a fantastic weekend, and I am out of here.